Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Coach Courtney Podcast. Today is a little bit special in the sense that the only guests that I will have are the guests that are with me here at the Garden of Grace and Gratitude in Arizona. So today, instead of having somebody on with me, I'm going to do a solo podcast to discuss a few things. One, it's going to be a current update as far as what I'm doing, where I'm at, why. Two, I'm going to take this opportunity, since I haven't done so yet in the past, to share a brief introduction of my story, who I am, where I come from, what I believe in, etc. We're just going to touch the surface on that because obviously there's so much to that we can get into in further podcasts. And then three, briefly tap into and touch on some of the current events that have been going on in our world today, which, as you all are aware, it's very turbulent times. I think there's a lot of fear, a lot of doubt, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of mistrust, a lot of lack of guidance, a lot of lack of leadership, which we're going to talk about. So to start off with number one, where am I? I am not in California. That is home base for me. Due to some recent health struggles that I've been fighting for quite some time, which are little side effect injuries to my spinal cord injury. I have a couple open wounds on my body. One is on my tailbone. It's called a pilonidal cyst. And then the second one is on the bottom of my foot, which I was I gave it to myself by completing RAGBRAI when I rode my recumbent bike across the state of Iowa. And I gave myself a pressure wound. And basically I've been dealing with that since the end of July. And we're now in September. And it's gotten to the point where I could not walk on it. I couldn't function. And then not to mention, I was getting all kinds of infections and UTIs on a regular basis. I had multiple that put me in the hospital. So it was either my options were to go check into the hospital for 3 to 4 weeks, if not more, but that was at minimum, to basically do a surgery to reopen my wound and clear it out and try something different and sit and wait, essentially, where I'd be rotting in the hospital bed. Or take a leap of faith and honestly capitalize on what I believe to be an incredible blessing, because God speaks in whispers. Okay, so this opportunity where I'm at right now was presented to me, what I consider as a whisper, because I knew nothing about it. There's no website. All I had was trusting a friend of mine who is actually my life coach, and it is her mother who runs her own private practice out in the middle of nowhere. So we are somewhere along the Arizona-California border. I know where we're at. And all I can say is that this decision to come here versus go to the hospital was probably, I'm going to be looking back at one of the best decisions that I've ever made in my life. So today is actually day 4, I believe. And it is nothing but a full-scale reset and refresh in every possible way, mentally, physically especially, and spiritually as well. She's a spiritual coach, guidance counselor. She's a chiropractor. She's a holistic medicine. She doesn't like the word holistic, so let's not use that. But all kinds of modalities. So, and it's paying off. It's only been day 3, and I have went the last couple days, and I'm going to continue to go. I'm going to be here for 21 days. of no alcohol, no nicotine, no marijuana. Let's see, what else? No sugar at all. She is cooking me every single meal, so I don't even have the chance to, I can't leave. I can't go out to eat. I eat whatever she gives me. So she's giving me supplements for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, a variety of pills, which I can definitely share more about, and I'm looking forward to researching more about. But I did do a little bit of research into the system and the company that she uses, and it's definitely one of the best. She gives me a couple different protein shake type stuff. And then we're on a pretty strict regimen every single day that we plan out together, which includes hyperbaric chamber. Okay, so that's proven to be healing in so many different ways. We're using infrared sauna therapy every single day. We're using magnetic renaissance EMF. I'm not sure exactly how to say it, but it's basically magnetic. It's the halo machine. So it's using magnetic frequencies, and you just lay in a bed or sit in a chair in this environment for X amount of time, 30 minutes to an hour. We're doing body work every single day. She's addressing some of the lack in some of the areas of my body that I've completely not addressed since my injury. And then the biggest thing that she was concerned about when I first talked to her on the phone is we're resetting my gut biome, which has been destroyed since my accident. All the antibiotics that I've had to take, all the meds I had to take when I was in the hospital for the first 3 months or so, every infection that I've had, which has been a handful, if not maybe in the double digits. That's a very normal and common thing for spinal cord injury. But I will tell you that I was not doing myself a service in preventing that. Because even though I have the knowledge of how to take care of myself, I've went seasons of my life where I've eaten very, very clean. Due to whatever it may be, I was basically, for the last however many months, really not taking care of myself at all. Not taking the time to eat the way I should at all. So let alone not enough protein to recover, or collagen, but just not the nutrients at all. No supplements, no multivitamins, hardly anything to eat. I think the week before I got here, I had 2 Domino pizzas, and that's how I survived for the week. So just doing things that, I was smoking. I picked up cigarettes as a way to quit Zen. So I've been addicted to nicotine for quite some time. But I was smoking cigarettes, which I finally I gave up for 3 days, which I talked about publicly if anybody saw that. And then I ended up relapsing a couple days later because I made the excuse that I didn't have my nicotine patches. So I didn't want to go cold turkey. So I was smoking until I received my patches. Well, guess what? I got my patches and I still was smoking, because then I found out that I'm either going to go to the hospital or I'm going to come here. So then I was, in my brain, my addicted brain, I said, I'm going to smoke until I come here, which I did. So energy drinks. So I was very caffeinated, poorly nutritioned, smoking cigarettes all the way up until the moment of here. So it's been a hard reset of drinking a ton of water, tons of fresh fruit and vegetables, supplements, eating clean, eating the amount of everything that I'm supposed to have, along with the physical, the mental, the spiritual, the meditation. It's been amazing, and it's only been 3 days. So that is where I'm at. It is called the Garden of Grace and Gratitude, somewhere in Arizona, right on the California border. And I am incredibly grateful. We have animals all around. She has an amazing dog who's sitting right here listening to me right now. Sweet Bella. We have chickens running all over the place. She's got 6 cats. She's got a pool, which unfortunately I can't use. But it is nothing but serene and peaceful. And she's amazing. So that is where I'm at, and that is what I'm doing, and that is where I'm shooting from today. So that takes care of not current events. That takes care of current update on myself. Secondly, I would like to talk a little bit about what's been going on in our world lately. So to be honest with everybody, most of my adult life, I've been very unplugged from media, from drama, from gossip, from all the craziness. Because at a very younger age of adulthood, I realized that it's nothing but negative energy. The news does not make money off of positive stories. They want drama, they want shock, that's what sells, negative. So I've not watched it. I've cut myself off of it for most of my adult life. And then around 30 is when I realized that, which by the way, I'm 32. I realized that as much as it's bullshit, we need to be informed. Okay, so that goes hand in hand with what's going on right now, though, because how do we become informed in a world where the government controls all the media, has purchased and controls all the social media, and blatantly lies to our face about everything that's going on to create division in our country? Okay, so I was sitting at my house I'd say about almost a week, if not 5 days, after Charlie Kirk was murdered, or not. How do we know for sure? I do think he was, but somebody knows. But there's a million different hypotheses and angles and thoughts on that. And I'll tell you one thing, that what the media and the government and our current president, our current vice president, our current administration is telling you is an absolute lie, and all of you know it. Everybody knows. So that's the interesting thing, that we're at a place now as a country where everybody knows that we're being lied to, we're being played, but what do we do about it? That's the question. And that is why I decided to take time to really try to research and unfold, okay, what has happened, what is going on, because I will be honest that I was unplugged again prior to that event, but I took it as a sign, and I knew that it was time when my friend called me, and he was just so distraught about what was going on. So not to mention Charlie Kirk, but also 9/11. And do you think that was by accident, the timing? No. What the media and our government is doing right now is called gaslighting. It meets every definition of psyops, of how do you manipulate, control, and divide a country, because that is what they want. The current administration right now is trying to make it seem as if it's these far left extremists and calling for civil war and just create this hate and the division. But it's just so blatantly false, though. So I hope that you can see right through it, because what needs to happen is we need to come together as a country and realize that not only are we Americans first, which is what Charlie Kirk stood for, among many other things that I respect the man for very much. I do not agree with everything that he believed in or said, but I do have great respect for him because he was a genius and he had the courage to stand up for what he believed in and speak it and do so in a way that encouraged debate rather than violence. But what Charlie Kirk believed in was that he was pro-American. He was America first. So let's take that one step further so we all can remember that not only are we all Americans, we are all human beings. We are all human beings. We are all the same. It doesn't matter race, color, creed, belief. We are all human beings. We all bleed red. We all need oxygen and need lungs to pump in order to survive. So now we have a decision as a country. We either let these evil powers, whatever they may be, it's higher than the government, I believe, but the government's in on it, and we let this evil play us, and while they're laughing, and we divide and further create all this drama and hate, or we come together and show that we, the people, have the power and we can stop this, but we have to come together. Now, some people are going to say there's no time or place for unity right now because of these crazy people doing these crazy things and shooting these people, and we can't deal with them. You've been brainwashed. That's exactly what they want you to think. Granted, are there crazy people? Yes, but that is the 0.05% of our country. The left is not all crazy, lunatic people that we can't get along with. And neither is the far right. The media has brainwashed you. And what I need you to do, and what I'm going to just encourage every person to do, and I'm going to push this for the next few years, the only true way that we can make a dent in what is happening right now is we have to boycott mainstream media. We have to completely stop watching it. We have to turn it off, delete the app on your phone, and do not turn it on the TV. Now, the older generation is not going to do this because they've relied on this for years and years and years. But guess what? It's the new generation. It's the younger generation, just like Charlie Kirk was after. It's my generation and younger that is the future of America. And we have the choice. Are we going to fall as a country and lose every freedom and right that we have? Or are we going to come together? That is our only two choices right now. And we have to come together. And there's certain action steps we can take. And the first one is, for your own mental health, is to stop feeding into the bullshit and stop watching it. Okay, so how do you become informed if you don't watch the news? It's a good question. Somebody let me know. I know that the only thing I can think of right now is by tapping into third-party, outsider perspective news sources such as BBC, and then also people that are completely independent. So independent news sources. Podcasts. I'll tell you one thing. For myself, in the future, when I get asked to be interviewed by Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, not doing it. Why would I let them take what I say to manipulate it to their agenda like they're doing to us right now? to continue taking advantage of us as a country. Our country's at a really, really dangerous place right now. And there's a certain group of people, I believe, and then there's people outside of our country that are involved, that are making this happen. And we have to fight. But there's only one way to fight, and it's not going to be against each other, divided, or else they win. So we really only have one choice right now, and that is to realize that it is not left versus right. It is the American people as one nation under God, indivisible, meaning cannot be divided, with liberty and justice for all, against these corrupt administration, politicians, people that are in control of those politicians and running them like puppets. And let me just say something to the current administration, because I voted for Trump. And I had respect for Vance. He's a Marine. He was a former Marine, E4 Mafia. For them to be able to be behind the assassination of Charlie Kirk and understand and know what happened, regardless of how much who knew of what, they know that what we are being fed as Americans is a lie. And at least of those two, nobody's speaking up or standing out or doing anything about it. They're following along because guess what? They're the president and the vice president, so they don't want to lose their power. So they're compromising their integrity. But they're also compromising, and I've now lost the respect of myself and America. So that is going to backfire on you guys. So it's just a bummer. It's a bummer, and it sucks to see when you want a leader to be a leader and have some balls, and they don't, because they're too worried about their power, money, fear for their family, fear for their life, which is justifiable. But so you're going to take a life and put at jeopardy millions of lives for your own? That's not the position you signed up for as the leaders of our country. People first. People over profit. That's the last thing I'm going to say about that. Changing tunes. The third thing I wanted to do, since we are alone today, is share a little bit briefly about me, because we are going to talk more about me, I'm sure, in future podcasts with other people. But I want to just give my listeners a chance, because you haven't had the chance yet in any of my episodes, to understand who is Tanner Courtney. So, my name is Tanner Courtney. I am 32 years old. My birthday was July 29th, 1993. I was born in Iowa City, Iowa, and I grew up in Mount Pleasant, Iowa, a small town in the southeast corner, about an hour south of the University of Iowa. We were a Hawkeye state, black and gold. Granted, my brother goes to Iowa State University, and the Cyclones definitely have made their way up there. But overall, Iowa is a Hawkeye state. We had no professional teams, is why I share that. So I grew up playing sports. I grew up playing soccer, football, basketball, baseball. I ran track. I played golf. I did anything with sports. I was very busy. I did travel ball, tournament ball, school ball. And when I graduated in 2011 from Mount Pleasant High School, I went to college, which I won't get into all the details of all the different transfers I made and the schools I went to, but I ended up graduating in 2015 with a degree in psychology, playing college baseball, center field, from Ashford University in Clinton, Iowa. It was an NAIA school, and it was a great time. At the same time, I was working as a personal trainer. So when I graduated, I knew I had this purpose in my life that I was going to go be a Navy SEAL. I knew that my calling was to join the Navy, which I found my junior year in college. So upon graduation, I kept my job as a trainer, and while training other people to make a living, I was also spending the rest of my time going to school briefly. I took a few classes in a master's of organizational leadership. And then I was training myself, working out 3 times a day, training and preparing and submitting an application for SEAL Officer Assessment and Selection, which would have been in 2015 to 16. And then I got accepted into that program to where I then went to Coronado, California, San Diego for the first time and participated in the 3-week SEAL Officer Assessment and Selection. I was not selected. I came home, recalibrated, rebooted, knew that, okay, now I'm going to join enlisted with a SEAL contract. So in that time frame is when I actually created with my friend Kyle the gym that is called KT3 Fitness, which Kyle now owns 3 of them. Actually, I think he sold 1, so I think he owns 2. But we started that in that period, and then it was time for me to go to the Navy. So I moved to Arizona, where I trained full-time, waiting to leave for the Navy. Moved in with cousins that I had only met 1 time in my life prior, so did not know at all. So that was a cool experience. Got to live with these people I didn't know and get to know them, because obviously Phoenix, Arizona and San Diego are fairly close. So after I joined the Navy and moved to San Diego, I had the opportunity to, from then until now, travel to my family and get to see them and get to spend time with them and holidays and stuff. And it's been great, because that trip is much more feasible than going to Iowa. And unfortunately, my family in Iowa doesn't have the chance to come to California very often. So I joined the Navy with a SEAL contract, made the biggest mistake of my life in boot camp, and I got dropped from the program, which I'll share more about in another episode. And I've talked about in a previous episode of podcasts with Amber from Josie's Hideout, if you want to go listen to that story. So then I spent my first 2 years in the Navy in the emergency room at Naval Medical Center San Diego. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Then I went to Field Medical Training Battalion in Oceanside, California, and got ready for my first tour with the Marines in Okinawa, Japan, with 3rd Law Enforcement Battalion, which is now disbanded. I only spent 1 year there before getting new orders to Camp Pendleton with 1st Marine Division. I was in 62 area with 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines, where I started with Fox Company and then found out about Stay Platoon, which is Scout Sniper. And then finally I was given the opportunity to run an in-doc for them after a couple trainings. I believe I went through cold weather medicine in Bridgeport, and then a battalion exercise in Bridgeport and 29 Palms. And then when I got back is when I believe I was able to do the in-doc for Sniper. I made it through. I was selected. And then honestly, my time with the platoon was my favorite and best time in the military yet. However, I still held on to the SEAL dream. So I held in my back pocket my second chance to go to SEAL Officer Assessment and Selection. Put together a package as I was getting out. So for me, it was either go do that or you're going to get out. And long story short, it didn't happen, and I got out. On my way out, I was accepted into the Navy Chaplain Candidate Officer Program. So I commissioned as an officer, and I had the plan to go to school, seminary, to earn my degree, a master's of divinity, to rejoin as a chaplain. I thought it would be amazing, helping people. Wasn't so much interested in the pastoral side of things, right? Obviously, that's a big part of it, but I knew that the job of a chaplain, what it was from being my time in service, and I knew that that is something I would love to do, mainly for the opportunity to help people and still serve in the military and travel the world. So during that time, I also got a job as a park ranger in East County, San Diego, at Lake Jennings, where I worked for somewhere a year and a half, somewhere. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it was basically March of 2024 when I was on my way to work at 6:30 in the morning, to be exact, where I had a head-on collision with a semi-truck on a 2-lane highway in East County, San Diego, on a windy mountain road, where I then woke up in the ICU. It was either that night or the next night, to find out that I am paralyzed waist down with a spinal cord injury. Mind you, at that point in my journey post separation of active duty, I was doing fairly well. I was probably in the best shape of my life. I was 30 days away from finishing Andy Frisella's Live Hard program. 75 hard, but you do it multiple times with different levels of things. So I was going through that because when I got out of active duty for the first time in my life, I started to experience mental health issues. I started having anxiety, depression, stuff like that, which is normal. It's a big life change. However, the anxiety was something I've never, ever experienced before, and I can talk so much more about that. Panic attacks. I started to gain a perspective and understanding of what exactly it is, which then gave me sympathy and empathy for those who experience it. And what I have to say about that is it's possible to overcome. So if you're somebody right now who experiences anxiety, just understand a couple things. There's a reason for the season. It is possible to overcome. It's not only possible, but it's more than possible. But you have to see it for what it is and understand that it's trying to teach you something. Whatever you're anxious about, you have to be aware and address it. And it requires work and meditation, lifestyle changes, help. That's when I got a therapist. Anyways, I was finally doing really well at the time of my accident. I had just purchased a home. Honestly, I'm a very simple man. I'm very easy to please. So I do say it's like a dream home because I do love it very much. It's on the edge of Cleveland National Forest. It's where the Pacific Crest Trail starts. It's horses. It's just, there's everything. It's so peaceful. It was perfect for me. Granted, could I say the same thing about maybe other future properties in other places? Absolutely. And I'm sure I could even do better because I don't even have that much land. But like I said, it was perfect for me. But I was only there for a month and change before my accident, which then I spent 3 months in the hospital before I was released. And then fast forwarding through some of that, because I can talk more about it another time, I ended up moving back to town, getting very involved one step at a time, which led to a snowball effect to many, many other things to where I am now, and has created everything that I'm doing now. And basically, it was around Christmas time that I woke up, meaning I feel like I shook out of massive depression, even though I was doing slightly better because I was doing the things, I was putting myself in the positions to overcome this, putting myself in the community. I moved to town for that very reason, to be closer. And I met my roommate. And it's my roommate who truly sparked this in me. Shout out you, Justin. And it was basically him sharing that vision with me and then eventually moving in with me a month later that has put me on the path that I've been on, right? Which I can talk so much more about, but very briefly, I was going to bring a brand new YMCA to San Diego County, which coming here down the road, when you see a new YMCA come up at San Pasqual Valley, just know, I hope, Todd, you give me credit because of the business plan that I gave you, because it's an amazing idea. But I basically did all kinds of work for that, had a meeting with Todd, to where then I found out that I'm not playing this bureaucracy game, and I'm also not waiting. And I started getting the intuition that if I'm going to do something in the community, such as a wellness center or an area where people can come and heal and gather, it's going to be my own and my team. I'm going to build a team. So I knew that. But at the time, I was kind of being lazy and trying to attach myself to a very successful and reputable and respectable organization such as the Y, because they already have things in place. But it's only gotten so much better since. And now, fast forwarding even more, which there's so much more I'm skipping that we can talk about in the future, but I am the founder and president of a nonprofit that has been filed with the state, and we are awaiting IRS approval for 501c3 status. It is called Ready and Forward Camp Lockett. So it is 188 acres-ish in East County, San Diego. There's another 100-acre possibility for future. And I have all kinds of partners, and God is showing off in a big way. And it's going to honestly be America's forward operating base for heroes. It serves veterans, first responders, law enforcement, and the local community. And we're going to reestablish and fulfill what was set out by the County of San Diego, which is called the Camp Lockett Master Plan. And we are going to bring to life again Camp Lockett, where the 9th and 10th Buffalo Soldiers, I stand corrected, I am a member of the 9th and 10th Buffalo Soldiers. The 9th Buffalo Soldiers were never there. It was the 10th Buffalo Soldiers who were there, who served on that installation as an active military base at one time. So it is historic property. And there's already amazing things going on out there with Camp Lockett Event and Equestrian Facility, Cleef. But they have been so kind and generous to partner with me to let me and my team come on, which is going to continue to develop over time, God's timing, no rush. And that is what I have been doing, aside from healing, because the number one reason, or the number one primary focus for my life right now has to be healing. And that is why I'm here at the Garden of Gratitude and Grace. As much as I resisted and fought for so long to shut down my life and come somewhere, because I always feel like there's so much to do, because there's so much to do. I'm very involved all over the county. But the number one most important thing is my health. And honestly, what we're doing here is going to lay the groundwork for me to go back a brand new person, to step into this next level and this next season of my life that I'm entering into. And it's going to be great. I do have some exciting things to share with you guys that are going to be coming up down the road. But for now, I'm going to wait for down the road to share that with you. The one thing I will tell you I'm excited for is when I get back from here, which is around Columbus Day, I'll have a week or two back in San Diego, and then I get to go out to Camp for Heroes in North Carolina, with my good friend, mentor, manager, producer, Barbara Beach. Hi, Barbara. She's watching this and a part of this right now. And we are going to go meet with the founders of Camp for Heroes, which is doing something very similar to what I'm going to be doing out here in San Diego. And then we have a couple things lined up for Washington, D.C. It'll be my first time to the East Coast, by the way, other than a short trip to New York for a funeral back in 2022. And then work our way from North Carolina to D.C., do some things, see some people, and then work our way to Atlantic City, where I get to do an event with, his name is Jeff Senior, who is, I believe, Barbara told me, correct me if I'm wrong, you can cut it out, that he was Charlie Kirk's pilot. So that's going to be an amazing, amazing opportunity. So that's something super exciting to look forward to. And then come January 2026, I'll be able to hint at a few more things that are coming down the pipeline. But for now, I believe we have addressed all three of the things that I set out to address today for this solo podcast at Garden of Grace and Gratitude, somewhere peaceful in Arizona on the California border. And that is it for today. Until next time, have an amazing week.